So that was our case baler getting loaded up onto a lowboy hauling trailer. And it's going to be hauled to the other side of Saskatoon. It's about an hour drive from here. And apparently they got some heavier crops out there, so we might be able to make some more bales. Things have been pretty light around the farm here. So we are getting kind of desperate at this point. So we're shipping that thing all the way out there. Gonna make a bunch of bales. Dennis, who does a bit of custom hauling for us for silaging, is also going to be hauling those bales back to the farm. We'll probably see him when he does that. She ain't going nowhere.
No.
So we got one of our balers loaded up on a lowboy here. JJ got her strapped down. And yeah, what's the hauling company called?
SL Livestock. For all your needs, make sure to call Logan.
All right. So yeah, if you need anything hauled around the Saskatoon area, I guess, give these guys a call. The number will be in the description down below. But for the rest of today, I'm gonna start hauling some solid manure to that new piece of land that we bought, that new quarter. We're gonna get this thing going this morning and drive on that new patch of land for the first time with an actual tractor. So pretty excited about that. Check the oil to start. Look at that, this thing is above full. Before we get to hauling some solid manure, we've been having some issues with our holding area. That's where the cows wait before they're gonna be milked. That kind of collection area for the cows in the milking parlor there. And it's just been getting slippery on the floor. The biggest reason for this is because we have that flush system that uses recycled water. So it's staying in that pit over and over and over again. And it's growing a bit of bacteria, we think, which is starting to build up a little film on the concrete in that holding area, making it slippery for the cows. Cows, they need a good footing. They got hooves and they're gonna slip really quick when any surface is slippery. So we got our new guy, Feder. He is pressure washing the floor of that holding area. So our plan is we're gonna pressure wash it once, get it completely cleaned, get that existing film off of the concrete, and then we're gonna make it a standard operating procedure to fire hose it after every single milking. And just a light fire hose, doesn't have to be too hard. But if you stay on top of it and do it two times a day, it's probably gonna keep that film away and it's gonna leave the concrete a lot more grippy for the cows to be walking on. So we're gonna go take a look at that right now. So he's just using the Vortex bit with the pressure washer, and that thing is gonna eat away at any existing film on the concrete. Again, biggest reason we think that we are getting a slippery floor in here is because of the flush system. So that's what drains a bunch of recycled wash water and rinses all the manure out of here. This is how clean it gets. We did not fire hose this yet. It gets pretty good, but there is a bit of a shiny coat. You guys can see that, and that's what's making it slippery in here. So I guess We're gonna fire hose it every time after milking. Gonna take a little bit longer, but as long as those cows have a good footing and they're not slipping anymore, it'll make it well worth the time. It's now the afternoon. Two things I plan on doing this afternoon: hauling a bit of manure. I got kind of hung up this morning. Yeah, we're also gonna be moving some bins a little bit in the new feed mill setup. Me and Dad measured, but not 100%, I guess, because they're still a little too close. We gotta, luckily, we have room to move them backwards a little bit to where the good spot is. So that's what we're gonna do this afternoon. So these piles right here are all calf barn manure and the straw pack barn. So it just gets piled out here. We do like to haul that stuff straight out to the field when we have the opportunity, but obviously in the winter time and for a lot of the summertime when there's crops out in the field, we're unable to get out there. So we have to pile it up somewhere. And this pile was not cleaned up last year either. So it's starting to get big and we wanna put it out on the field this fall for sure. So it's just straw pack manure. I am able to scoop it up with the case wheel loader bucket, even though it doesn't have a grapple. A lot of that manure is pretty rotten and it still scoops pretty good with just a regular bucket. This thing's big enough to grab a good scoop. Well, that's our first load. Let's get it out to the field. Well, I just put my camera over there to get a nice drive-by shot, and then something pretty bad happened. Never seen this before. You'll notice it's completely stretched out. This drawbar pulled out. Whatever was holding that drawbar underneath the tractor must have broke loose. I don't see those bolts anywhere here right now, but they're probably somewhere on the yard. That is sketchy stuff right there. And the wagon's full. Luckily it's not heavy stuff. This is pretty dry straw pack, so not too much to worry about there. This is kind of a sketchy situation. I want to try not to break anything. The hydraulic lines will usually pull out, and the electrical thing also will pull out. PTO is two separate parts. That'll always pull out. So nothing usually breaks when this does happen. I've lost the wagon before just because the pin got pulled out. But yeah, we'll try and be as careful as possible. This thing could fall and crush you pretty good too. So you can see it got pulled out at least 2 feet, probably half a meter extended. So that put a bunch of tension on the hydraulic lines. Oy, oy, oy. I can't get that jack underneath there just because the manure wagon fell so much. That drawbar is now at a pretty steep angle downward. So I'm gonna grab a shovel. I'm just gonna dig the dirt away from it. Tried scraping it away with that thing, just didn't work. This is pretty unlucky, but actually we're very lucky it didn't happen when we were driving down the road with a fully loaded wagon. And it happened right here on the farm. And it's not even in the way. We can still feed cows. It's not even in the middle of the drive-through or something like that. So this is actually the best place it could happen. You gotta look at the positives, eh? You can't just bog down on the negatives. Well, that was nasty. That is some hard dirt right there, but got the jack in there anyway. Now we can start to lift weight off of that drawbar. Disconnect everything else safely. Man, that took about all I had too. That turns out when this wagon's full, that jack is a lot harder to turn. Unreal. there's our problem right there. So there's a bolt that's supposed to screw in there, and that'll hold a pin which goes through one of these holes depending on what kind of hitch length you want. And that bolt clearly just snapped right off. That really sucks. That's probably gonna need to be drilled out. Well, we are gonna go for a little treasure hunt, I guess, see if we can find that pin and the plate that holds the pin in there. Just talked with our mechanic, Brent, and he said it shouldn't be too far. So we're gonna head back out to the corrals and see if we can find it. Well, we found exactly what we were looking for, just underneath the wagon. This is the pin. So that would be in the front of that drawbar. And this was the plate that was holding it on. The bolt must have snapped. Yeah, you can see there was a washer on there right there. So that would have been up there like this. And this goes into the notch on the end of the pin. And it holds the thing up like that. So Brent was right next to where the drawbar actually pulled out. So that's convenient. We'll leave it right there for Brent, and then he can come and weld probably another bolt on the one that snapped off and take it out. At the new feed mill, this is something we've been wanting to do for a couple days now. We want to move these 3 bins back a little bit. You can see the augers are out on each side, and they're just a little bit too tight. The feed wagon, the rubber edge is touching both augers when you try and sneak through here. So we'd like to make a little bit more room. In the winter time, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get a couple inches of snow. It's going to lift the feed wagon up. Someone's going to rip an auger off. So we want to give a little bit more room. We should have anticipated that maybe, but luckily we do have at least 8 inches of room to move these bins back on the back ledge. There is a weigh pit underneath here, so the concrete goes 10 foot right at the edge there, deep. So we can put these bins right on the edge. It doesn't matter. It's going to be perfectly strong enough. So we did already anchor these down a little bit. We're going to use the angle grinder and cut those off. Well, we just hooked the loader up with a chain to the bin, and then we can move it around as we feel necessary. And one of those anchor bolts that I cut off actually hooked onto the leg of the bin, and I was pulling and pulling and pulling. Dad kept saying go more and more and more and more. Then all of a sudden the freaking thing shot like a foot. 2 of the legs were off of the edge of the concrete just now. We thought it was going to go over. Luckily these things got 6 legs. That was pretty sketchy. Luckily it didn't come off the edge, and we got it into place now.
Wiggle it like that.
Toss me that hammer. Thanks.
Five and a half, basically. And this is 5 and a half.
Got them moved over. I don't know how good you guys can see, but those legs are right on the edge of that pad. Should be good. They'll never move with 6 anchor bolts each. That thing's got to be operational within about 2.5 weeks, because that's how much feed we got. So there's a timeline now. We got to hit it. Now we're gonna grab the feed wagon, bring that over there, drive it through, see how that thing fits. So you drive through, you can hit these first 2. That's dried distillers grain, and then beet pulp. No. Looks good now. Yeah, before these augers would touch the rubber liner on the feed wagon, but now we got some room on this side. And we got a lot of room on this side. So that works perfectly. Looks pretty good. Right on. Got the bins where we wanted them to be. Unfortunate with the manure wagon. The baler went to another yard. The other baler is also making bales right now out in the field, so that's good. It's been a pretty productive day other than that manure wagon. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.